Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 5 starts now.
Mayor Mike Duggan reopening TCF Center tomorrow as a vaccine hub again for those third dose booster shots. Coming up, who gets one of those shots and his harsh words for the unvaccinated here in Detroit.
The governor comes to town to talk about a new way of crime fighting.
But we're going to begin with chaos at the airport in Kabul. People desperate to flee the country, hanging on to planes in their bid to escape as the Taliban takes control of the Afghan capital.
That plane took off with people still hanging on to it.
Meantime, all eyes remain on Kabul and on Washington, where President Biden addressed the situation just in this last hour and defended the decision to have the U.S. leave Afghanistan.
American troops cannot and should not be fighting in a war and dying in a war that Afghan forces are not willing to fight for themselves.
Alice Barr following the story in Washington with more. Alice.
Good evening. President Biden is facing intense criticism for his decision to rapidly withdraw American troops from Afghanistan and the chaos that's taken over the country as the Taliban steps into the power vacuum.
Scenes of desperation at the airport in Kabul as Afghan citizens try to make it on the last planes out before it's too late. While the world watches the Taliban take over that capital, President Biden returning to Washington to address the unraveling humanitarian, military, and political crisis.
I stand squarely behind my decision. After 20 years, I've learned the hard way that there was never a good time to withdraw U.S. forces.
The president ordered thousands of American troops back in, but only to secure the airport and facilitate evacuations. The White House acknowledging the Afghan government's fall happened much faster than anticipated as their president fled the country and security forces collapsed.
What's happening now could just as easily happen 5 years ago or 15 years in the future.
Allies and critics alike are demanding to know how the Biden administration so badly underestimated what would happen when they pulled out U.S. troops.
What we have seen is an unmitigated disaster, a stain on the reputation of the United States of America.
Early last month, President Biden brushed off comparisons to the fall of Vietnam, yet video out of Afghanistan today echoing the dangerous scramble to get U.S. citizens to safety and the hopelessness of their allies who may be left behind. Nearly 20 years after American forces moved in to neutralize a terrorist threat, Afghanistan now firmly back in the grip of a Taliban regime.
President Biden is the fourth U.S. president to grapple with what became America's longest war. He has consistently said he would not pass it on to the next administration. In Washington, Alice Barr, Local 4.
All right, Alice, ahead here at 6 o'clock, our Paula Tutman sitting down with a Gold Star family who lost their son in Afghanistan. You will hear their raw emotions as the country he fought to protect has once again fallen into chaos.
All right, now to the coronavirus and new numbers from the weekend. The state reports 3,554 new cases over the past 3 days. That averages out to 1,100 cases per day. 19 new deaths are also being reported over that same time period.
And as the numbers continue this upward trend, Mayor Duggan says the city is reopening the TCF Center to administer third doses of the vaccine.
But it's only for Detroiters with compromised immune systems. Grant Herms is live at TCF tonight. Grant, this is going to ramp up here pretty quickly.
Kimberly, Devin, it really will, and it'll be a familiar scene starting tomorrow here at TCF Center, and then at 10 more sites around the city, plus home vaccination visits coming up a little later on. Duggan today also giving a dire warning about the future spread of the virus as the vaccination rate here in Detroit lags far behind where it needs to be.
Now we have the next phase, which is the third shot.
Mayor Mike Duggan announcing Detroit's TCF Center back open as a vaccine site, this time for those with weaker immune systems.
We have to act. The people who did the right thing went and got their vaccines up front to take care of their health. If you've got a weakened immune system, We need to be there for you to make sure you continue to be protected.
The plan is to use the city's 30,000 doses of Pfizer and Moderna vaccines for the booster shots, following the FDA's guidance for those with moderately to severely weakened immune systems. TCF will not be requiring a prescription or doctor's note proving any condition. Duggan also giving a dire warning about the coming weeks of the pandemic.
If you look at the pattern of what's happened over and over, there is a good degree of likelihood that Florida's July could be Michigan's November.
The mayor blaming the unvaccinated who are holding the door open to more spread and potentially more dangerous variants.
It's the unvaccinated people in this country. There is an enormous river of COVID transmission among the unvaccinated. And unfortunately, it allows for things like the Delta variant. And who knows if we get another variant, because if this keeps spreading, it's a matter of time before this virus mutates, and we're talking about a different kind of variant.
Duggan also urging unvaccinated people to get their shots. He says that you don't want to wait until September or the fall when we could see another spike here in Michigan, because it takes a month to become fully vaccinated, and time, we know with these variants, is just not on your side. Back to you.
Yeah, Grant, what did Duggan have to say about the possibility of renewing mask mandates or proof of vaccination? Anything?
Kimberly, he said that is up to the state and the state alone. Now, we know that the governor said that she is not going to put in place any kind of mask mandate. And as far as we know, they have not had any discussions about needing to show proof of vaccination either. So what we have right now is what we have.
Indeed. Okay. Grant, thank you. And speaking of vaccinations are slowly creeping up. As of today, 64.7% of Michigan adults have received at least one vaccine dose.
All right, let's turn our attention to the weather here quickly this Monday. We got some rain moving through.
We do. Let's get over to Andrew and what he's seeing on Storm Tracker 4 right now. Hi, Andrew.
Hey there, Kimberly and Devin. And Devin, welcome back. We have a few raindrops that are out there. You can see that here on Storm Tracker 4. A few right here in downtown Detroit from the west side and over to the east side as well, and close to Warren and areas like Roseville and up toward Port Huron. But this is rain that we can easily handle. Light to moderate showers that are not increasing in intensity. Here's an update on Tropical Storm Fred, because it has made landfall here in the western panhandle of Florida near Panama City, and it's had winds of 65 miles per hour when it came ashore. Back closer to home, we have temperatures that are in the low 70s. Rain-cooled air was 70 degrees over at City Airport. Where it's not raining, it's a little brighter, 75 for our friends in Howell. Now, it remains wet for the next couple of hours, but drier tonight. We'll focus more on that, where temperatures go from here, and your week's forecast in minutes.
Okay, Andrew, over the weekend, after the weekend, I should say, in the dark, power restorations continue following last week's severe storms. Right now, 40,000 DTE customers remain without power. The company says they've got 3,000 crews in the field with the hope of getting everyone back on the grid by the middle of this week.
You know, it was just 2 months ago, former U.S. Congressman Paul Mitchell announced he was battling cancer. Yesterday, Mitchell passed away at the age of 64. Mara McDonald has a look at Mitchell's legacy as the tributes pour in from both sides of the aisle. Mara?
Devin, you know, the last time I was in D.C. interviewing our congressional delegation, Mitchell made it clear that he had grown really tired of how things were done in Washington and was so looking forward to spending more time with his family, something that renal cancer unexpectedly robbed him of.
Mitchell was a two-term congressman and conservative who was a proud member of the Problem Solvers Caucus while he was in Congress. And while his decision to not seek re-election made headlines here, it was his decision to renounce the Republican Party after the 2020 election that made national headlines. In a statement, his wife Sherry says, quote, "Paul stood up for what matters most. It had nothing to do with political ideology and everything to do with keeping our humanity for everyone."
And I think he was an example of civility, love of your government, and how you could disagree with somebody agreeably. And he served this country, loved this country, and I miss him.
Per the Mitchell family, there is not going to be some big public funeral. They do not want that, and they say if you want to honor his legacy, that you donate to foster care charities and give your time in a meaningful way to someone else. We're in the newsroom. I'm Mara McDonald, Local 4.
And we're thinking about Paul's family as well. Detroit police are looking for a suspect after a man is killed at a Southwest Detroit bar.
This all happened after 4 this morning on Central near Michigan Avenue. A 23-year-old man was killed and 3 others were shot. Video shows more than 20 evidence markers and a shot-up car in the alley behind the bar. Police say the bar was open after hours when this all happened. They say there was an argument. The suspect left and returned with a gun. Governor Whitmer is rolling out a $75 million initiative to fight crime in Michigan.
The money coming from the American Rescue Plan is going to be used to hire more police officers and increase the number of visiting judges to clear this massive court backlog that we're facing. Sean Lay live tonight with more on how the money is going to be spent. Sean?
Devin, Kimberly, the governor here late today, and she was really pointing to double-digit increases in crime across the board, all across the state.
Each of these double-digit increases, though, are people, they're communities. It's pain, and it means that we need to work together to address this issue.
The governor in Detroit to announce a $75 million multifaceted investment in fighting crime in new and creative ways. Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy says it's about time. The old ways aren't working, and she brought the issue home to make her point, pointing right to domestic violence, on track to hit a record number this year.
We normally get 7 to 12 domestic violence homicides. We topped 24 last year. We're already at 19 this year, and we have 4 more months of this year.
And sharing a very personal story about domestic violence.
You know, I'm the product. I lived in a household that had domestic violence.
Congresswoman Debbie Dingell.
I didn't talk about it for years. I mean, you don't want to admit that that could happen in your family. There's a stigma attached to it.
The highlights of the plan: hiring police and prosecutors and paying them more, going after illegal guns and the people using them, and a big-time focus on mental health.
We have a community that is seeing people victimized by crime.
Back here live, that $75 million will have to be allocated out by the state legislature. I asked the governor what comes first in this very big, ambitious plan. She said there's a lot to it, but it's leaning towards hiring more police and prosecutors to tackle illegal guns and tackle that huge backlog of cases from COVID that you mentioned right at the top. Devin, back to you.
All right, Sean. A group of landlords is suing Detroit's 36th District Court.
New tonight, why they say the court's decision to put a halt on evictions violates the Constitution. Doc.
Concerns about catching the Delta variant, and is the medical community downplaying breakthrough cases? I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Ahead, I'm answering your questions about the virus and the vaccines.
All right, Frank, but first, from bad to worse, a woman's unending nightmare inside a Southwest Detroit apartment complex. We'll have that when we continue at